Hi, everybody. Hello to all my subscribers. Thank you very much to my loyal subscribers for all the great comments, all the support. Please remember to thumbs up. And if you're new to my channel, please subscribe. Be very, very pleased to have new subscribers. We talk about all sorts of things astrology related on this channel. And there's kind of a populist theme to what we talk about rather than some astrologers who I think maybe not. So what I want to talk today is about Neptune in Aries. So I've already talked about Neptune in Aries in relation to a possible American civil war happening after the President Trump has finished this term. But this time I want to talk about Neptune and Aries and the kind of things that have happened in the past to do with Christianity, particularly the Catholicism, and now looking forward to one world religion. So let's just take a look at the past. So in 1044, way back when, and to 1056 AD, that was when there was a great schism between the Catholic Church and the Eastern Orthodox, and at that time Neptune was in Aries. Between 1208 and 1221, it was Magna Carta. Okay, that's not particularly related to the Catholic Church, just throwing that in there. Between 1372 and 1383, there was the Western Schism. So there were two men actually claiming to be the Pope at that time, and the Bible was translated into English. So quite big movement there in terms of Christianity. Now, the next time, which is really important, because in 1525, it was the time of Henry VIII, and it was just after the Saturn-Pluto conjunction in Capricorn, the last one, because we've just had one this year, but the previous one was it was 1519 about. So Neptune went into Aries about 5 years after the Saturn-Pluto conjunction, which was in the early 1500s. And we've got that again because we've got the Saturn-Pluto conjunction in 2020. And about 5-6 years from now, Neptune goes into Aries. So there's huge amounts of similarities to then. And what happened then? It was the time of Martin Luther and the whole Reformation, and also the time of Henry VIII, which created another schism where England broke away from the Roman Catholic Church to form the Church of England, the Anglican Church. So we're looking forward now and thinking, are we in for another schism? So there is an article in the New York Times, which is called The Long Road to Catholic Schism. And it kind of postulates that because the Pope of the moment is modernizing, like it's in the news today, actually, that he's going to sanction same-sex civil partnerships. He's already saying, bishops and priests can get married. He's doing a lot of modernizing. And the New York Times article says, well, does this mean that the Pope's taking the church in one direction, but possibly the American branch of the Catholic Church might not be ready for that direction, and maybe not South America, because in South America, they still take Catholicism extremely seriously, kind of like Ireland did maybe 25, 30 years ago. I actually have a very good friend in Chile. She's went to the same school as me, and we went to an Anglican girls' school. We brought up Anglicans, and she moved over to Chile and got married there. And she said she daren't say to anyone she's not Catholic because she's a teacher and she feels this need to pretend. And she's not particularly a religious person, but she said she daren't mention that she's not Catholic because it's such a big part of the culture. People are very proud of it, and so maybe that's traditionalist side over North and South America wouldn't want to go this direction. But I think there's a lot more to it than that. So there's quite an interesting commentator from the Vatican, Leo Zagami. He's Leo Zagami. You can go and check him out, his website. And he's written a book that's available on Amazon saying this Pope will be the last Pope. So what's really interesting as well is this Pope's been having a lot of meetings with Prince Charles. And last year, there was a meeting in Dubai between the Pope and representatives of Sunni Islam about creating one world religion. Now, personally, I don't think that's going to go down very well with the devout Catholics or the devout Muslims. I don't see either of them embracing this idea, do you? But anyhow, these are the talks that are going on. Now, it's been said, and there's a book being written, I'm sorry, I don't have the name on the top of my head, that the Catholic Church was infiltrated a long time ago by communists. And it's said that they initiated a lot of this pedophilia to weaken the church, to tarnish people's perception of the Catholic Church, to bring it down. I also have a feeling, and I'm not sure how many Muslim subscribers I have, but please give me your thoughts on this. But I know that Lawrence of Arabia was strongly involved with the Wahhabi family and setting up the current kingdom in Saudi Arabia. So I'm wondering, in a similar way to that Catholicism was infiltrated by communism, if Sunni Islam has also been infiltrated by communism, and it's this branch that's causing the radicalization, ISIS, and generating all this kind of extremism, which of course is giving people a negative perception of the religion. So if you look at it that way, it's quite easy to see how these two could come together, because basically they've both been infiltrated by Freemasons. So another interesting thing is, do you know that China, they don't like religion, do they? They clamp down on people who are religious, but they have donated $2 billion to the Vatican. Interesting. Then let's look at it this way. The association between the Jesuit Catholics and China goes back almost 400 years, and it was the Jesuits which were instrumental at putting Mao Zedong in power. Now, there's a Jesuit Catholic priest. He's long dead, but there's a shrine to him in China. His name's Marco Ricci. Can you believe that a Catholic priest has a shrine in China? Just goes to show that the association between the Jesuit branch and China is very, very, very strong. And we see that the Pope has been making kind of overtures to China. He's almost wanting to work with them. And then at the same time, he's meeting with Prince Charles, and he's pushing towards this one world religion. And as I've mentioned before, we've got people like the new head of Google, and with Bill Gates as well, was meeting with the Pope not so long ago. And so you can see this whole church morphing into the whole New World Order thing. So let's talk about now. Someone who's against it is an American former bishop. He used to be the Vatican ambassador to the USA. He's currently in America, almost like in exile, because he's not going along with us. I wonder if he may spearhead the kind of schism. Maybe he'll become the alternate pope when this pope wants to move towards one world religion. I just don't see devout Catholics buying it. And I think people who are on the fence and who maybe are technically Christian but have let their faith slip are just going to be further alienated by this move. And I honestly don't see, Muslims going for it. And I mean, why should they? Absolutely ridiculous. So let me have a look. I've got something to read you here. It is from an article by Leo Zagami. And now I've been thrown out of the page, so I'll just have to re-access that page. But, it's just so interesting how this whole thing is coming to pass at this time. So, we hear a lot of deep state, and now we've got deep church as well. Agents within the church also working towards a new world order. Now, the Pope has recently released as I said, I'm not Catholic. So if I'm not, and I have actually been bad in not getting the name of the current Pope. So you'll forgive me for any mistakes I make there. Please do correct me. But I trust that Leo Zagami has these right. So let me tell you. So Pope Francis' new quasi-Masonic encyclical. I believe an encyclical is something that's produced by the Pope. Is it always like an agenda? Well, anyway, he's released an encyclical, and it looks more like the Communist Manifesto, and it includes the names of at least 3 known Freemasons. So on the 5th of October, 2020, so not that long ago, this new encyclical was released, and it is the longest encyclical to date. And it was signed in Assisi on October the 3rd, 2020. And Pope Francis talks about migration, the markets, media, interfaith dialogue, populism, nationalism, redistribution of wealth, the death penalty. And it almost looks like a typical communist manifesto, where he even puts into the discussion private ownership. Do you remember in my Agenda 21 vlog, I talked about how Prince Philip of England, the Queen's husband, he actually made a statement where he was denouncing private ownership of land. Yeah, but not for him, not for the elites, I bet. I'd like to know, if we can't have private ownership, what's going to happen to all the art and all the manuscripts and all the priceless objects of art and information that the Vatican has been hoarding all these years? What's going to happen to them if there's no private ownership? So, of course, Pope Francis is a Jesuit Pope, and this encyclical is called Human Fraternity. Obviously, liberty, fraternity, egalite. Fraternity is always associated with communism. So some are saying it's almost like a Masonic covenant, and it's also known as the Abu Dhabi Declaration. So the Pope's releasing something is also known as Abu Dhabi Declaration. This is really odd. And he made this last year with the great Imam Ahmed al-Tayyib. So he named his controversial anti-Semitic, so this Imam Ahmed al-Talib is actually a controversial anti-Semitic Sunni leader, and he's been named 5 times by the Pope in this new encyclical, which he calls Fratelli Tutti, brothers all. And he even quotes the Quran in this encyclical, and he says, whoever kills a person is like one who kills the whole of humanity. Whoever saves a person is like one who saves the whole of humanity. And that's from a surah 532. Now, I think we all know that quote from Islam's very famous one, but it's just odd that the Pope is mentioning that. So anyhow, this encyclical is 43,000 words. It was released on the Sunday after it was officially signed, and it's meant to provide an inspiration for universal fraternity. And 3 well-known Freemasons who are not Catholics, including Martin Luther King, Desmond Tutu, and Mahatma Gandhi, are all mentioned. So Leo Zagami says St. Francis is just a cover for a Masonic Jesuit project. And he's just reminding these readers of the encyclical that the words Fratelli Tutti are taken from the 6th of 28 admonitions of St. Francis of Assisi to his brother friars, focusing on the 25th admonition to love and fear one's brother that reads. So, I'm not quite sure what we should read for that, but Pope Francis also used St. Francis of Assisi's famous visit to the Sultan of Mali, Camille, in Egypt during the 5th Crusade to promote this fraternal openness with Islam. But the truth is that this Jesuit Pope is clearly promoting a Masonic version of the upcoming one world religion. It's not just a fraternal society, and it's not just an olive branch and reaching out and embracing and all that sort of thing. It's all part of a one world order, one world religion being part of that. And I'm sure a lot of people will see it very positively in that it's bringing down barriers. But if both of these infiltrated by the Freemasons, then it's only going to lead one way, and that's ultimately to Satanism. So, as I say, he's alluding to St. Francis of Assisi's visit to Sultan Marie Kel Kamil in Egypt. That was during the 5th Crusade. I just wanted to clear that up. I know it was mentioned many years ago that when, in England, the Queen is Defender of the Faith. That's one of her titles, one of her duties as a royal, and that passes to Charles when he becomes king, which he effectively is now. And Charles, however, has always been saying that he will be defender of faiths. So he's supposed to be the defender of the Anglican faith, right? But no, he's going to be defender of faith. So you can see that dilution down of everything to do with Christianity, just mixing it all into a big melting pot where there's just going to be, I don't know, they'll have a chance to rewrite everything. Do you remember I talked about how in literature, books are being republished with little variations, something only an absolute expert would notice. But these nuances are changing the meaning within our literature, and therefore they're changing our culture. And it's probably happening to things like Dickens and various other books that were written. They're going through it, just making subtle changes. So when people in the future read it, they're probably going to be coming out with a whole new interpretation because these things are subtle but powerful. So again, you can see changing the nature of our religions to dilute them from what they are, almost rewrite them and then morph them into something else. So I think that's highly likely, given these movements with Neptune, that there is going to be a big split in the Catholic Church, because I don't think that people are going to stand for it. And you must remember, with I think 4 of the Christian bishops, stroke cardinals, stroke whatever in the UK were coming out this month against Brexit, right? So you've got 5 religious leaders, I think they were all affiliated with Christianity more than the others, speaking out against Brexit. Well, first of all, they shouldn't be interfering in politics. They should concentrate on getting a congregation in, because most of them can't even manage to draw a congregation. They should think about the fact that churches were closed during the lockdown and people couldn't seek religious solace or advice if they want to, but they see fit to interfere in Brexit. A democratic vote has happened, and I think they should respect that. One thing I just wanted to leave you with, it's not like a major topic, but I think I'd slip it in at the end. This is particularly for the UK viewers, but you guys in America may enjoy it. Now, the Queen has basically been, as a 90-plus-year-old woman would be, not out and about because of the virus. She's been at Windsor Castle rather than Buckingham Palace. But at first, what they called a public engagement happened on the just this past week. It wasn't really public, actually, because the place she went was to a level 4 biolab, Porton Down, which is in Salisbury, with a lot of military stuff, but like North Carolina, I'd call it in the US, but on a smaller scale. It's very military. And you guys will remember Salisbury from the Novichok thing, where apparently Putin sent over these two guys to poison some former spy who'd defected years ago in the UK and was living a quiet life, not really doing anything with his daughter, that they poisoned. You guys will remember that story. So I think of all the places for the Queen to pay her first visit after being sort of isolated for so long, why did she choose there? Really odd. Please, ideas. I would also like to say to you, I haven't formulated a theory, but it's going around in my head that something about the Novichok incident in Salisbury was linked to coronavirus. Not that that is a corona. I'm not saying the Novichok is a virus, anything like that. But maybe it was almost like a drill, because remember, lots of parts of Salisbury were closed off for deep cleaning, and they had to close down a lot of restaurants, and they were trying to tell people, oh, you've got to wash your hands, and use baby wipes to wipe off your handbag or your sunglasses or whatever you had with you, so that you don't have any of this Novichok. So there are a few parallels in terms of contagion, because they were very worried that this Novichok had spread far and wide and people might have been contaminated, but it seems a bit kind of overheated, that concern. And then, of course, now we have the contagion with the coronavirus. So, I strongly think these two things are linked in some way, but I haven't fully thought through why, but maybe you guys have got some ideas. Anyhow, still doing our American theme, because as you know, election coming up, debates tonight. Be interesting to see what's going on when Trump gets muted. Guys, thank you so much for supporting me. I know a lot of you aren't getting your notifications, so what I'll do is, when I'm finished the live, I'll have to copy all my Facebook, my Twitter, all my other links there, and I'll make sure that when I get a chance, I'll transfer this video to all those other sites. So if you miss it here, you might catch it on Facebook or Twitter. I'm going to try and upload all my stuff to BitChute as well, so I can do a lot more on there, because as we know, the big purge is happening. And yeah, and also, I'll put a button there if anyone wants to donate Bitcoin or support me in any other way. As you know, you can always go over to Amazon and support me by buying any one of my fiction books or my astrology books. That's always much appreciated. Like I say, if you're on Amazon Prime, it doesn't even need to cost you anything to download a book and read, because it's all free, a la kind of the Netflix scheme. So thank you guys for tuning in. I hope that all came out well. Hope you enjoyed it. And more food for thought about one world religion and the future of the Catholic Church, and by extension, all the other Christian denominations. I think in the future, Catholics will probably be on their own and will have to reorganize. So maybe we're going to have to look to the Episcopal churches, the kind of what people call happy clappy churches, because of course in America, those are extremely popular, vibrant, and fairly independent and autonomous in their areas. And so they can generate a lot of kind of regenerate Christianity, can't they? One note, apparently Amish people who live mainly in Pennsylvania are coming out in force to vote for Donald Trump.